As a TBI survivor, this is one of my experiences. Now, I was at a show, an album release party for a friend of mine, and it was pretty packed. Standing room only. I was having a lot of trouble with spatial awareness and people being around me. I was having a lot of trouble with the loud noises and overlapping sounds and trying to focus on a conversation. And it was really exacerbating me. It was causing a lot of issues for me, and I had to be aware of that. Now, fortunately, a good friend of mine had recently seen a video about me expressing some of my symptoms, and they saw it, and they showed up, and they provided appropriate, loving support by asking how they could support me and encouraging me to receive it. But the epiphany that I had on this night was that when I am exacerbated, as I start to deal with these symptoms from the overlapping sounds and the this and the that, I am used to taking up space. I am a bright light and a powerful energy. And when I walk into a room, it has been reflected back to me many times as the mirror that I take up a lot of space energetically. I'm the type of guy that communicates and cheers on the performer because as a performer myself, I understand that that makes the performance better and makes you feel good. Now, as I'm taking up space in that way, I recognize that I'm scared to take up space because I'm in people's way or I'm too considerate, because I start recognizing my trauma filter in which I'm now entering into because I'm exacerbated. Now, what is that trauma filter? Why do I feel like I can't take up space? Well, because when brain injury first happened, a lot of those who were close to me, who I love dearly, didn't know how to respond or react to brain injury. And they showed up in their own trauma responses with their cultural differences and this and that. And so what ended up happening is I was condemned, I was judged, and I was silenced. Not trying to control me, really, just really operating in their own trauma filters and their own cultural differences. With that being said, that had a big impact on me. And so when I get exacerbated and I'm in those places, I recognized that I hold back and I shrink myself and I don't feel like I can take up space. So once I recognize this, because this is how I do my work, when I recognize and identify that something is happening inside of me, I run to the fire. I melt away what doesn't serve me. I go to it to figure out what's going on, why it's happening, how it's happening, when it's happening, and all of this stuff internally. I deeply engage in self-talk and self-awareness. So with that being said, this is the example. This is the example of when we do the work to figure out ourselves, we can then show up and start to reparent and reprocess and even be able to process some of the things more in the moment. Now, I had to engage intentionally with neuroplasticity to rewire my brain to become present again. That's a big thing for us that we are not aware of, that we aren't present because we are so overwhelmed and overstimulated by our symptoms that it's very hard for us to become present in this moment, right here, right now, so that I can actively make decisions to how I'm feeling and maneuver if I need to engage in positive coping skills, remove myself from an environment. Now, I should have removed myself from that environment a little sooner, but I didn't. So I had some consequences of draining my brain battery and being in more of a fog and more of my symptoms being present in the ways that cost me a couple days after that show. However, I learned something valuable. And as I learned to process it, this part's super important. I reparented myself and I allowed myself to go out and play. I said, you get to take up space. You get to exist. You get to be here just like anyone else that you're so worried about being in their way. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. And let go. And I did. And it was a beautiful moment for me. I love you all. I hope this is a helpful perspective. as we don't truly understand how deep brain injury impacts us.